Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from London and good morning over there in the US. And is it good night in Australia? You're all welcome. Wherever you are in the part of the world, I want to say a good day to you, and you're welcome to today's book club, the Ijo Diaspora Council Book Club. The book club, it was set up to discuss, to learn, and to empower ourselves with knowledge that helps to advance in every ramification possible. So you're all welcome wherever you are. And I want to introduce a few people here, and I'm so grateful and honored that we have our Amadabo of Ijo Diaspora Council, the Amayanabo of Ijo Diaspora Council, and the chairman of IDC, Professor Sele Mondegold. You are welcome, sir. I also welcome the president of IDC, Chief Professor Emmanuel Ezekiel Art. I also welcome the INC Vice Chair of Europe, Chief and Elder Esther Oki Akinlade. I am so honored to have you all join us today to discuss a book that is so dear to my heart and to everybody, I would think, because we ought to know where we come from. I think is in there's a proverb that I saw in one of the books. It should be the language of or culture of Kalabari by Professor Nimi Wariboko says that he who does not know his father's name does not dance in the square town or does not speak in the square town. So we're here to know our forefathers, to talk about the origin of the Niger Delta, a book that is authored by Professor E.J. Alagoa, a wonderful book. And I believe that everyone, a lot of us, have gotten hold of that book. And if not, we still have, time and days to read. It's not just reading for today, the book club's day, but for other days as well, to empower us with great knowledge that helps in advancing. So you're all welcome. Briefly, I will just ask the Amadabo of IDC to just say a few words of welcome before we go into the book discussion. Thank you.
What a pleasant surprise. Well, well, we thank the Almighty God for such a wonderful day. It is only by His divine mercy that we are here today, recognizing the fact that this is a global gathering of at least 4 continents. And I want to thank the leadership of IDC for organizing this program. History calls for, society requires that we have the necessary knowledge. And for us to acquire the necessary knowledge for a more developed nation, Nigeria, it is necessary for us to read. It is necessary for us to share ideas that God has given to us over the years. And those who have been able to document their experiences, we thank them. Today we have the opportunity to discuss one of the most important books. I say that because I know that the leadership of IDC have meticulously reviewed books of utmost relevance. And so it is not a child's play for us to select a book because the process is very rigorous. So I thank the leadership, particularly Mr. President, the Professor Tom Ezekiel Hart, double chief, I generally call him, the Amapele Febru one of Australia. We appreciate you. I want to thank one of the most vibrant chiefs we have in the diaspora. I say that because she's a woman who is very visionary in the sense that she's not, she's forward thinking. She's an individual that is so active in the Nigerian diaspora. I have seen her physically, I've seen her personally engage in activities of the job people, and is worthy of emulation. And so each time I interact with her and see her attending events, I want to make it clear to her there's a source of inspiration, not only for the elders, but the next generation. The women that are coming behind you are watching you attentively, and I hope that God will give you the wisdom, the strength, and the resources to keep doing what you are doing, Chief Mrs. Oki. We are proud of you. Now, this event wouldn't have been where it is without the participation of our able Vice Chair of Europe. It's a woman I met recently, and I for lack of better word, I don't want to use LOVE, but I have a personal interest in what she is doing, and she's very extremely resourceful. We need more people like Dr. Benny Folabi, who will come on board, see the vision, embrace it very enthusiastically. Without, there will be challenges here and there. A woman with the spirit to say, no one is perfect. There will be weaknesses here and there, but let's look at the overall picture of where we are going. And that is self-determination of the job people. There are various ways for us to get to that point. How can we get to that point without reflecting on the intellectual wisdom of those who have been able to put their time and resources together to write a book? And we must read. We must read. We cannot move from here to where Boro, Dapabrie, and all our forefathers and founding fathers have been able to put together. Yes, that from 1957, in fact, from 1957, if you look at the Walensky's Commission, what they went through, especially Dapabrie, by that time, Boro was a young man, what Dapabrie went through, and a whole lot of people. And we cannot, and we shouldn't take what they have done, their sacrifices, for granted. And that is why each time I see our president pushing the overall agenda of the job people, self-determination, and I'm so excited because our resources shouldn't be taken for granted. Each time I look at it, I say, look, I come from a community where, as we speak, there is no means of transportation. Lord, the basic infrastructural equity that we desire is lacking in a John nation. In a John nation. Communities like Bonny, as of today, but the Bonny Kingdom shouldn't be where it is, that they are hosting one of the most important organizations, one of the richest entities. And I was there when they started. Well, I was there, saw what Shell did and what Shell is doing, but more is expected. More is expected. And so it's not going to be out of place. Why should we go through, Bonny people should be driving that distance to get to Port Harcourt, passing through border? It's not necessary. We can have a direct road based on the resources we are provided. Direct road from Bonny to Port Harcourt, passing through Okrika. It's possible. It's possible. When individuals can construct tunnels beneath the sea, building a bridge, what is the distance? The distance from Bonny to Port Harcourt is less than 100 kilometers, and it can be done. So I think I've gone beyond the time that the vice chair gave to me. I'm really very sorry. But when it comes to issues of the John nation, some of us are so passionate because we know that we are being shortchanged. So I thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to discuss this book, because we need to know what others have done. The outstanding issues, the unfinished projects, these are things that can be found in books of this nature. So I thank you very much for putting this program together. Madam Chair, Mr. Vice President, our president, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Gold. We are grateful for those words of wisdom. I will now call on Chief Oki because she has just to introduce herself and give us a brief word of message from our wonderful matron of the Association of Women, Ijaw Women. Chief Oki, please.
Thank you, my Vice President, IDC Europe. I only give you apologies from the matron, but my understanding from what you asked me to do was to present what my understanding on behalf of the Amadabo today.
Yes.
So I've done a bit of write-up. Is this the time I'm giving that time to sort of present my bit?
No, just for you to give the apology from matron and that's it. Yeah. Okay.
Matron's apologies for today. Thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
much.
Yes.
My full names are Chief Mrs. or Chief Deaconess Mrs. Esther Tare Oki Akinlade, the Benabenmara of Kabowe Kingdom and also the Vice Chairman of IDC UK and Europe. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And a
Grateful.
member of IDC Diaspora Council,
Yes,
prominent health.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All
Thank you so
protocols
much.
to my president and my elders and everyone on this platform. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on, I'm going to just briefly talk about the book before I now call on I will now call on I will after the brief discussion from my end, I will call on the president of IDC to give his view about the book and the origin of Niger Delta. So today, as mentioned earlier, we're talking about the history of Niger Delta, authored by Professor E.J. Alagoa. It's such an honor to be discussing this book. It's a great privilege, and I think it's everybody's honor to actually have this book written by the author to give us knowledge about who we are. Uh, the Niger Delta is a southern Nigeria, is located in southern Nigeria and is the delta of the Niger River, sitting directly on the Gulf of Guinea on the Atlantic Ocean in Nigeria. The author, I mean, the Niger Delta people, we're peculiar people, peculiar people. We are very, very peculiar in the sense that we have so much resources, and as a person, we are resourceful as well. So the Niger Delta is located within 9 coastal southern Nigerian states. That includes, all 6 states from the south. The book, I love the way the author started on the book because the author first made us aware of the problem about the history of Niger Delta. The author exposed us to the understanding that although we are a people with great history, the history that we have concerning the Niger Delta isn't, far into the distant years that we should have. So the author used methods, via the sponsorship from Wisconsin. They use methods such as oral tradition, using the list of the kings as king list, as he calls it. He used methods such as, examining the priests of locations. The Niger Delta area is such a vast area. It is built up over 10,000 years from sediments brought down by the rivers. If you have your book with you, please open it. Let's be looking at it together. But I'm just making brief summary to show us how the author was able to expose us to the knowledge, expose us to the history of Niger Delta. So it is a sediment, brought down by the rivers Niger and Benue. And in the course of the years, there's been many complicated factors that have changed the extent of the delta, the birds of the feeder creeks, the rivers, as well as the amount of sediment, deposited. The author was able to show us that the history that he has exposed in the book is given us more like an immediate history, because going into the distant history, unlike places like Egypt, there are no archaeological, substances remains that can be examined to enable better understanding of the far origin of Niger Delta. However, the author was able to expose us to the understanding of the movement of people in the Niger Delta, showing us how people were, carrying on cultures and carrying on movements that defined who they are. I will like to just, expose us to let me read the first briefing that he wrote here. He said he used oral tradition and history. So in the study, traditions of origin, perhaps the most controversial type of oral literature, have been treated as historical documents worthy of attention. In a study which attempts to go back as far into the past as the sources would permit, it is only logical to test what the traditions of origin can reveal with full awareness of their limitations. So the basic limitation of traditions of origin is the chronological, for although they are cast in the form of accounts of the beginning of peoples, they really refer to only a fraction of the history of such peoples. So we can understand, the limitation that the author experienced as a result of trying to expose us to the very origin of the Niger Delta. He examined a particular set of people who are called the Ibe, or if I'm pronouncing it right, IBE. So the tradition of these people and their movements, their culture, their oral tradition were used to infer the origin of the Niger Delta. You will appreciate that this is a lot of work, an intense work, because you don't have artifacts, you don't have things that you can excavate, to determine the existence of those people. So I will read from page 213 to just bring us into a few knowledge before I call on our president. It says, hi, who am speaking, and McLean Inatimi Young Ologo, because recordings were taken to get informations, to get knowledge about the origin of the Niger Delta. It said the origin of Ekowe Obi was the man who founded Obiama. Go down from here to Nembe River and still go down from there until there is a big land. It was there the town called Obiama was. This Obi begat Bumo, Tarakiri, and many other children. Bumo begat 12 children. These children he begat left Obiama. The reason why they left was that there was a misunderstanding among them. There was a fight among them, hence they did so. I want to tell how they did so and why the fight came. It was because of the soup of Doka they left Obiama. It was done by each compound in turn, bringing a Doka alive each year and trying it till when it was to be killed. When it was killed, it should be cooked every day. Everybody ate it and drank the soup. Whenever it was done, it helped in producing children and it also saved people from any unexpected death that might come to the town. They had this type of belief in those days. When it reached the turn of a certain compound, they brought this animal and tied it until when it came to the appointed date, they killed it and cooked it. Therefore, when the other people came in order to eat it, they said it has not been finished. So they returned. They went again and they told them the same thing. It has not been finished. So they came back. And when they went again, they found that the people had eaten the whole meat. When they saw that they had eaten the meat and had taken the soup too, they were annoyed. So there broke out a fight. Everybody uses it in order to get more children and to be proud of. It is being done every year by the compound that it comes to. When it comes to you, you have eaten the whole meat and also taken the soup. So we are not going to stay here with you. This was why they were annoyed and left the town. So that's talking about a movement that occurred from one place by some set of the people in Niger Delta. There are incidences, that talked about how some people of the Niger Delta dwelt amidst Yorubas, the Igbos, and other tribes of Nigeria. And as such, the one will see that to an extent, the origin of the Niger Delta or the Ijos is also linked to other tribes. But before I go further on, I want to call on um, our president um, to to lead us further into the discussion. And I am sure I have just given us a brief, overview of what the author did. So the author also described, the river, how the Niger Delta was formed, the rivers that, kind of petition or design the various people of the Niger Delta. So, Mr. President, sir, you're welcome. Chief Professor Emmanuel Ezekiel.
Yes, thank you very much, our Vice President, Dr. Berry. I think because of time, we'll ask Chief Oki Akinade to actually continue so that she can expand all her preparation so that time will not cut her off. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, my Vice President, and of course, my distinguished President. I will try and read a little bit of presentation. I cannot but help say this big thank you to our chairman, who injected most of the scholarly aspect on platforms as great as the IDC. So bear with me when you read through and start dissecting later. But thank you, everyone. So the option I chose to present today is a scholarly reflection on Ijaw identity, historical consciousness, and collective memory, based on the review of this great book that we're talking about. I did a little bit of abstract, I did some introduction, I did some body, some conclusion, and a little bit of Harvard referencing as to where I got my information as well, to expand on this great book club review that we are measuring on. The option presents the Ijaw Diaspora Book Club as an intellectual platform, which our vice has just read out of, dedicated to the preservation of historical knowledge and collective memory. It advances the position that historical consciousness is fundamental to identity formation, cultural continuity, and ethical leadership amongst the Ijaw people within the Niger Delta and the global diaspora. Bear with me, as I said, this bit is moving. My introduction. For indigenous and historical marginalized people, history is not merely descriptive, but constitutes our identity and legitimacy. The Ijaw experience, shaped by cultural disruption, environmental exploitation, and political marginalization, require deliberate scholarly engagement to preserve memory and counter historical distortion. The book club emerges as a structured response to the necessity, grounded in academic rigor and communal reflection. Historical consciousness enables a people to constitute themselves accurately within broader social and political realities. Collective memory constitutes an intellectual inheritance that must be intentionally preserved. On this context, I would say I did a bit of conclusion, which is to establish the book club as a site of memory presentation and intellectual continuity by grounding identity in rigorous historical scholarship and shared reflection. The initiative contributes to cultural resilience, informed leadership, and the long-term safeguarding of our Ijaw heritage. I also have my references from the Alagoa book, A History of the Niger Delta, 1972. Also the book of our great leader, Kwame Nkrumah, and many others. I wasn't given the time on which to talk, so I have not really expanded on what I wanted to say. But if you bear with me, as we tend to be reviewing this great book of ours that belongs to us, we'll be bringing in more other dimensions that will support this book club that we're trying to expand and introduce within the diaspora. I want to use this opportunity to thank Dr. Benne because she's actually sent us the Amazon copy that we need to download and actually share around our communities here in the United Kingdom. That's my bit, my president. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give a brief input of what I understand on our great book written for our leader, Adaka Borough. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chief Oki. Thank you. We're so grateful for that brief insight that you've provided. It's really an honor to have you on this platform. And I'm sure that, the youths, listening will take lessons, from it, to the fact that you actually, did all the reading apart from just reading the book. That is really impressive. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we have in our midst Benabi Benatari. You're welcome. Please, can we have you? If we can have your camera on, we'll be, glad to see your face. and we'll love to hear your voice, to share your view about the book. Hello. Thank you.
The mic
so,
again.
my apologies. I was just trying to finish my breakfast.
No worries. Bon appetit.
So thank you for allowing me to join in the conversation of the book club.
You're welcome.
Do you want me to make a little comment
please.
on this?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Fortunately, I read that book. Read it several times over. I read the book. So one of my areas of engagement is enjoy historical research, and I've set up an organization called IJO or IZON Historical Documentation to preserve our history. So years ago, I read the book, and I'm still referencing it. Got it here. A little bit, you can see. And also I have another book here, which preceded this book, The History of Ijo and Neighboring Tribes in Nigeria by S.K. Wanaro. But coming back to E.D. Alagoa, I think his book, from my perspective, and from an interview I had with him years ago, like he had read this earlier book by Wanaro, and being a professor, he needed to scientifically document our traditions. So he went around interviewing various communities, and eventually came up with the book, History of the Niger Delta, which is mostly the history of Ijo people. And he does a little bit of capturing of some of the neighbors who are related to the Ijo people. So, and because of the way he went about doing it and recording it, I think therein that's where it's of immense value to our people, because he talks up, he makes the dates, reviewed various community elders and so forth, and then he writes it out as what was recorded, and then he comes up with some conclusions. Now, some of the information that he has corresponds with what other people have recorded, while some of it is a little bit different. But all that is useful for the Ijo experience, because it being oral tradition, they don't necessarily need to be the same. Because oral tradition can only capture not a time frame, maybe going back 1,000 or 2,000 years. So anything beyond that need other means. That's why I like it in his book when he introduces things like language studies, backup, and he also uses archaeology, geology as well. So the area that oral tradition cannot reach, you use language studies, and you use archaeology and geological evidence. So in that sense, he gave us contributed immensely to the intellectual discourse around the history of the Niger Delta, the issue of Ijo people. One of the areas that maybe he didn't actually maybe come conclusion, he was trying to reconcile aspects of the Ijo history, which was making reference to Benin, and he didn't come to a conclusion that okay, Ijos originated from Benin, because he looked at age of the language, the age of the information that was available on the archaeology, and it was like, although ancestral tradition in certain communities points to Benin, but the evidence suggests that it goes far older than that. So there was an inconclusive statement around those actually come from Benin. How is it? How did we migrate into the Niger Delta? So these are some of the areas which are still open up for discussion. But there's other history books. For example, the history of Strakeri by a teacher, Niekete, in 1939. He also talks about Benin, but he states that the Ijos would have been the first people to have left Benin, or the first people who have settled in that area. So that would have that now begins to help us understand what is it that our traditions are referring to. They're not referring to the fact that we are derived from Benin people. Maybe that was one of our ancestral abodes before the rise of the Benin Kingdom. So, in conclusion, the book is a great academic material which helps us understand our history, but it's not finished. It's not something that is concluded. We need our people, historians, intellectuals, to still focus on Ijaw history, to tie up the loose ends and continue to postulate, because the way Nigeria is, everybody's asserting themselves, everybody's trying to lay claim to resources and so forth. So you need to have your historical information back up as a part of your arguments about who you are, your claim to your ancestral lands, and what you can pass down to your children and your grandchildren, your descendants, regarding their identity. The great Ante Diop, Professor Ante Diop, says something about that a people are held by three things: language, culture, and history. If you get the three of those right, and unify your people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is great insights and great comments from you. We're grateful. People need to be unified to be able to have a voice. Thank you. And we can only do that through knowledge and yes, tying loose ends in the book. Very, very much noted. I actually read the book with my family. We looked into it, and it was exciting to the point that my children gave me a name, Island Girl. So yeah, it's worth reading, and I would encourage the younger ones to please pick up the book, read, and we the senior ones, we should please push the children, encourage them to read. It is very, very empowering to read this book and other books about the Niger Delta. I will now call on our IDC president.
We have another guest here, Josh. Could you give him opportunity, Josh?
Okay. I didn't see. Okay, you're
Josh
welcome, Josh.
George Gary is more or less our leader of, I would say, more or less the younger adults. Or, Josh, am I correct? Please introduce yourself from the United Kingdom.
If you're welcome. The same, please, can you put on your camera?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to have my camera on where I am right now.
Okay. Okay. Please. Let's hear from you.
Joshua Azabola Kweje. I come from Ogbia. I will talk a bit.
I'm sorry about the wrong name. Apologies.
It's all right. From Ogbia, Otakame, and I lead the Biosol State Union in the United Kingdom at this point in time. And I got to know about this meeting just about 5 minutes before noon, before the meeting started. But it's quite an interesting one. I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy I'm hearing the things I'm hearing. History is always, an important part of, of a people. When you know where you're coming from, then chances are you'll gain proper traction with regards to where you're going. Just 1 minute, please. So, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think I love history. I love history. I'm not sure if I heard very well what Binoibi said. I didn't listen fully. There are bits of distractions where I am. So I'm not fully in and I'm not fully out, but I'm listening. I got to know late, so I didn't prepare for this. But having said that, I think I'm sure I heard him say something about the unity, working together. I've come to that place where I've stopped blaming others for our problems, and I think we need to look inwards as individuals. I met a neighbor friend who recently in London, he came in from Nigeria, and quite frankly, he did say to me, he made a few comments, and they were quite touching. One of the things he said is, Joshua, before you got your job with Schlumberger, you started making money back then. He used to be one of those who tried to champion the EJA course, resource control and everything. We did have meetings then in Alagoa here, myself and a few other friends who were, in places of interest. And he said, Josh, after you got this job, you forgot about the dream, pursuing the EJA, the dream. And I did say to him, I did not forget. I just found myself in a place where I found too many conflicts within the EJA community. And this is part of our problems working together. I've stopped blaming outsiders because some of the things we demand from outside, we have not been able to provide inside, even with the little we have. Jesus did say, the man that is not faithful in little will not be faithful in much. Have we been good stewards at home? I strongly doubt it. He also did say, a kingdom divided against itself, it shall not stand. Many of the failings inside have been caused by us. Many of the ill treatments from outside have been brought on us by us. So when I read history, I like perspective. I would want to read this book, and I would want to see what perspectives have been drawn into it in reaching some conclusions. And I want to thank the professor who wrote the book. I believe very much in what Benaibi has said. He's somebody I respect a lot when it comes to EJA matters. So I would read with the understanding or with some, I would read with his mindset in view, the things he has said, and I want to learn. And I believe I'm going to learn a lot. One of the things that's caught my attention was, okay, a professor wrote this book, so he would have been very detailed. So thank you very much for the book. And sorry, I did not prepare for this, but I'm glad I'm here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Josh. You're welcome. We appreciate you joining us and you saying something. So it's important to us that as many as can join, even irrespective of haven't not read the book yet. And you've made, valued statements, that people who are divided within themselves, they cannot really, go forward or make things happen. So that's really, really a great point that you have made there. Thank you so much. Now,
Thank you very much. And it was very great that we have this opportunity, that a history has been written by the great Ebiegberi Joe Alagoa. Now, what he has done was to leave a landmark of information that those who are his contemporary and those coming after will be able to draw inspiration as to how they come about in living in a particular sector where they now call Niger Delta. So from the understanding, you will now see that the Niger Delta has expanded through the Niger River and Benue and then the Atlantic. Then you now have a situation where wars and disagreement had led to splitting of community and movement from one particular location to another location. Sometimes retaining a particular type of language, which you will now see also on another part of the Niger Delta, and sometimes having a completely different language, but then is still within that Niger Delta region. Now, this kind of identification or way of understanding our lineage, where we come from, gives us the ability to understand what are our rights relative to where we come from and where we trace our origin. Because sometimes the understanding of this may mean that you have a right to claim for some resources that come from that particular area. And whether the resources has also served the interests of the people, all are things that come out of the history so that you can be able to form a view of whether the history will still be continuous in terms of finding out a finality of some certain area that is not cleared, or it is something that we dogmatically accept it as it stands and it is stated. Now, but if you now look at, take Bonny for an instance, Bonny Kingdom. Bonny Kingdom was split into forming Opobo Kingdom. So, but for the disagreement or war, we wouldn't have seen a new kingdom led by King Jaja of Opobo. So now you can see that if an Opobo man wants to trace his origin, most of the time he will return back to Bonny Kingdom, that is where he came from. Now, that will also give him the understanding that, well, that means that things that concern this area in terms of resources indirectly concerns me. And therefore, I have to stand in defense or asking of things that relate to such matters. So, looking at the nature of the book, it wants us to understand basically that Ijaw people does not just fall from the sky. They seem to have moved by nature from various areas and arrived to the particular place that they are now. Incidentally, they become the first people that live where they are. Now, when we look at it in that sense, considering the nature of humiliation and deprivation that happens now, it is for us to now know the kind of history we want to champion for prosperity. Because if the history as it is, and taking note of the fact that the Ijaw people had always wanted to be on their own, it came through various agreements that had been signed or written with the British, and it also came towards the formation of Nigeria in the 50s, when the leaders of the Nigerian, of the Ijaw nations and the Niger Delta decided that they don't want to be ruled from Enugu, that Enugu is far from Port Harcourt and other seaside Ijaw areas. And in cause of that, we have the great chief Dapa Brie, who with Gowan coined out the issue of self-determination. Now, this self-determination was opposed by Ojukwu, Colonel Ojukwu at the time. But then, Major Adakaboro believed that it was an insult to take away the words of a great man like Pa Brie and trash it. So he decided to lead his rebellion to make the great awareness that Niger Delta demands self-determination. Now, given that, we also know that when his rebellion was crushed, it did not end the dream, because Dapa Brie was able to get self-determination back from Goa, following a lot of dialogue and discussions. And that also led to the war that began by Ojukwu, and in fact, the release of Adakaboro from detention, where he was facing death penalty. Now, so when we look at it in that sense, we want to explain to the younger generation that Nigeria in itself, given the nature of the Ijaw people and the Niger Delta, that they have sought to rule themselves by being self-determined. And that self-determination was granted by General Gowon at that particular time, so that a state or states were created. The creation of those states now detach the headquarters from Enugu, which was one of the main demand, that they don't want to rule from Enugu. So earlier, you have the Bayelsa and the River State together. But then the separation of that also evinces the demand for self-determination. Now, self-determination is different from secession. Now, self-determination, you can be a part of a country or federation of states. At the same time, you are independent by way of you dictate and control things that affects you. So, in effect, we have reached a stage where Nigeria has run self-determination of states since as far back as when General Gowon was.
Apologies for the IT glitch, everyone. Thank you.
Yes. There was a big tree that fell outside. There was a big tree that fell outside, and so the children are going to check how to address it. So as I was saying, the importance of this self-determination, which has started from the time of Gowon, means that we, rewriting our history, are to ensure that in the mouth of each person, we raise that awareness that self-determination has existed in Nigeria since when Gowon created states. And the Niger Delta states are entitled to be run by themselves, which was also the desire of General Gowon. The only problem we have had was that after Gowon left, the self-determination part of the Niger Delta was a bit mooted, in the sense that when the military governance come, they take away our own citizens that are qualified as military officers from ruling the area of the Niger Delta states. So that aspect is something that we will now put forward as part of new history to inform and fight in terms of pressurizing the system to understand that if there is a military coup, it must be that a leader that will rule any Niger Delta state must come from the Niger Delta. And if we have civilian government, our civilian government must be removed only according to the constitution. And if any person was to take over, it must also come from that particular region of the state. This part of the history is not in any way favorable to the Niger Delta people. And we need to be able to have a movement towards pushing this and the understanding by every other part of Nigeria that the resources that come from the Niger Delta, by nature of the international conventions which Nigeria has signed and put into law in Nigerian law, that we are to have control of greater part of our resources. And that having greater part of our resources means that we can use it in any way to address issues that affect the Niger Delta. Now, looking at all this, the historian, Professor E.J. Alagoa, did not capture all these issues. So it is something that we that who read the book and understand the book will now write to create more awareness of what needs to be done to ensure that we reach a position that served the interest of the Ijaw and Niger Delta people. So looking at that in that sense, it also means that we have to push forward to say that if the federal government is appointing somebody to head say offshore ministry of petroleum or gas, that person, the person that will head such institution must come from the Niger Delta state. And if for any reason a person outside the Niger Delta state has been appointed, he must not be there for more than 3 years. And after 3 years, a Niger Delta person must head that institution. Because the circumstances that we have currently is that we'll continue having somebody outside the Niger Delta heading resources control that affect actually the Niger Delta state. So he does not bring anything good into the Niger Delta state. Neither does he have any resources of his own that will be administered or put into development in the Niger Delta. Rather, it will have to go out. So for that reason, we need to make the Nigerian governance understand that the law which they signed as an international convention allows control of resources by the place where that resources has been produced. Therefore, a greater aspect of our resources must be controlled by the Niger Delta. So what we then will do also was to give more support to our political leaders so that they will embrace this particular understanding and push it forward in light of having the best for the Ijaw people. So for an instance now, something like hospitals for areas of operations, every time when there is a problem, the persons or individuals that have the problem, or even the local people, are being transferred if they have the opportunity to other place for treatment. That should not be the case, because the place where the industrial actions are happening should have the best hospital. And there are legislation which Nigeria has actually made, which allow the building of such hospital. But then money that has been assigned to it is being siphoned to different action, either because our people don't know or that they don't actually put effort towards pressurizing to ensure that such resources is used for what it is meant for. So looking at it in that light, the history which we now have from our great Professor Ebiegberi Joe Alagoa is a kind of a prompt for us to understand where we come from and how we move forward from there to ensure that we have the best out of where we are naturally situated by God. So I thank you, and I'll leave it so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President. Thank you so much. Great in-depth, great in-depth that you've given us. And you've really, really, provoked thoughts. And we're grateful for your great insight as an elder and also as an expert. Thank you so much. I will briefly ask, just give 1 minute to Benabri. He just want to add something, and before I call on the chairman. Benabri, please. 1 minute.
Yeah, if you can grab me like 2 minutes, that would be great. I just wanted to add what the book has actually done for people. From my understanding of the book has given us some useful tools which we can now use to scientifically approach Ijaw issue. And I did outline those two in a paper, and I just want to quickly summarize those two. So the book has given us ancestral tradition and ancestral mythology, as written down by his own historians. Secondly, it has given us access to intelligence reports. Some of the intelligence reports are quoted, other ones where they are, he has given us the place where we can go and get them. So it's up to us as professionals to go and trace those intelligence reports. He has given us ancestral tradition and histories of neighboring ethnic communities related to us. He has given us written observations by European visitors to the West African coast from 1450 upwards. And then the book itself is an historical thesis. He has touched on language studies, which we now go into to go to the time frame beyond the beyond that which is covered by oral tradition. The book and subsequently the other book by the Zone of the Niger Delta, which he was the chairman of that committee, gives us archaeological and geographical information. Then it also gives us cultural practices and customs. At the end of the book, there's some kind of glossary of terms. So if you haven't been to Ijo land for, maybe you weren't born there, you can when you go to the glossary, you can see all the meaning of the various traditional titles and so. That's something that enables us as well. And then lastly, it gives us cultural practice and customs. For example, he talks about Ijo, worshiping the basic Ijo religion is worship of the creator. About that briefly, and it basically talks about a few other things, the forces of nature. Then people like us, subsequently, we followed up some of the work, and we looked at things like evidence of ancient aquatic civilization. And the person who did that, one person was Professor Yupele Banigo, and he was tracing the language all the way down to the Lake Chad region. And then when you now follow up with the aquatic civilization of Africa,
your time is
it's to be the first civilization. We've got so many tools that we can now use. So the onus is on us to make sure that we use those tools, rebuild and repackage our history for access by our younger generation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll give our chairman, the Amadabo of IDC, Professor Mondisele Gold, will give us his view about the book. Sir, you have up to 7 minutes to talk. Thank you. You are muted, sir.
Thank you very much. Evidently, it's an interesting book. Mr. President has identified the primary focus. When I be the historian we have in Europe, and by extension, the Ijo diaspora, we are very proud of you. So thank you for your reflection. And thanks to everybody for your respective reflections. This is an important book. I think there are a few things that we have all stated, especially what Mr. President indicated earlier on, that it's a roadmap. Benabi has also alluded to that, and all the speakers, including Chief Oki, that it is, and of course, the president of the Bayelsa Union. You're welcome. And I hope that you will have direct communication with Dr. Benny so that you will be properly integrated into the Global Ijo Diaspora Council, because the Ijo Diaspora Council is for all well-meaning people. And I'm glad you are even seeing two distinguished personalities in Europe, including Chief Oki who was, when I met her, she was the president of the John Women Association of United Kingdom and Ireland. And then you have Ben Ibi, who has historically been involved in the just struggle for decades. And so they're all part of the platform. And there is something, and the president of BIA Union said earlier on, that there were internal problems. And today is a manifestation, a clear manifestation of some of the internal problems we have. This is a platform. Today's program, we shouldn't have anything less than 600 job people attending this program. 600 job people, because we have thousands. In fact, if you Google Okrika, there are over 25,000 people from the Okrika ethnic group living in Europe. 25,000 people from Okrika alone. And so a day like this, if we don't have that consciousness to build a unified front for us to project our overall agenda, international and globally, then we have big problems here. Now, going back to the book, it's an important book. It has created the desire for us to be to push the project further. Professor Alagoa is a well-known historian. I've read one of his books. And then when I tried to get this book that was published in 1972, as a matter of fact, in January 1972, this book under review was published. And I saw that it's $205 US. So I started laughing. I said, I have to call Dr. Benny to send me some money so that I can get the book. It's $205 I'm seeing on Amazon. Then in the process, I saw another one written and published by Professor Alagoa, $65. So it's all well and good. We have to patronize, encourage, motivate, all the good works. And that is the only way other people will take us more seriously. And so a Jaw diaspora has a primary goal. And that goal, or one of our key pillars, is reintegration of the Jaw culture. And I'm glad that now we know that Benny has a new name, the Island Girl. I hope, Mr. President, you will not forget. Benny, Benny has a beautiful Island Girl. So, Benny, I won't forget. I have a note. Where is my paper? I took a note. Island Girl.
I write it for you, AKA Island Girl.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You see, in as much as it would have been better for us to have 600 people, it's immaterial. It's immaterial because it's not the number of people that determines the desired outcome. I say that because look at the impact of the 12 disciples. The impact of the 12 disciples. And you will be so surprised of what will be the impact of our discussion today. You were so surprised. And so I'm appealing to the leadership of IDC, especially Dr. Benny, to make sure that, so please transcribe our various inputs and post it on the platform. Feature, some people will find relevance in the content of what you're going to post today, and it will give birth to a few other things, especially within the context of have a clear understanding of our history and the desired outcome, which is self-determination. I have also written a book, which is to be published in the next 3 months at most. The book has been edited by well-respected individuals, including our Amapelefe Brew of Australia. You see it? He has reviewed the book, provided his comments meticulously. And the focus is self-determination in a fractured nation, global lessons within the context of the Jaw agenda. So we have to push this project, push this initiative, push this agenda nationally and internationally. You understand? So that is our focus, and we are going to do. It has also been reviewed by former speechwriter of Chief Senator Dr. Kilo. He has looked at it. Private Secretary of Goodluck Jonathan. He has looked at it. And our president, the president of the Jaw, Presidential Campaign Council, Dr. Mofo, he has looked at it, and it's now with the editors, and the editors have given an assurance that the book will be published. That is the self-propagating the imperatives of the self-determination agenda of the Ijaw people. So Egberike has done so well, And so let's continue to strategize. Oh, by the way, you gave me a minute, and President is looking at me. All right. A minute has come and gone. You know, I'm a teacher. I try to be a good teacher, and in the process, creating more problems for myself.
No, I gave you 7 minutes. So that's
you did. You were so generous. Oh my God.
Continue, sir. We are watching and
continue.
listening.
All right. So on a very well, let's look at it. I want to ask Binabi. Binabi, I have a question for you. So please lend me your ears. Because you have written extensively as it relates to the Ijaw history, tradition, and culture. Yes, last month, I received a note from a prominent Ijaw man in Bayelsa, which I posted in another platform. I think I did, where the man is saying that Ijaw people are from Israel. Ijaw people migrated from Israel. So would you like to share? You know, I'll give you a minute of my 7 minutes. You are alluding to Benin issue, the Benin factor. And that Benin factor for me is what my village people used to say. I think it's like it's a play, you know. And so I've always looked at it as a joke, and I don't have any historical bearings, any historical facts to support that Ijaw people are somehow tied to Benin history. So please, can you expatiate on that? I will share one of my minutes with you. She's been a bit tired. Yes.
Okay. I'll quickly deal with you just mentioned the Benin thing. It's because of what was concluded by Owonaron. In summary and conclusion, says that the Ijaw no longer remember any outside place of origin. The references to Benin in many of the traditions do not amount to the creation of the Ijaw people of the Niger Delta from the Edo. The claims to Benin and other distant places of origin, in fact, reflect a peculiar attitude to origins amongst the Ijaw. I'll leave it at that point. So, based on what he collected, Benin cropped up time and again. So he needed to understand, does it mean that we derive from the Edo people? He couldn't come to a conclusion on that. But that's where, you know, further research, further work by other people is necessary. From that one. Now on the Israel factor, I have a couple of people who have also mentioned that to me as well. And they put it on the basis that in certain portions of the Bible, I think one in Kings and another portion of the Bible, there's a reference to Ijon, I-J-O-N. And then on that basis, they say that the Ijaw people came from that place. There's a number of people who postulate that. And but that's the only information we have. It may be, there might be ancient Hebrew, when there's the ancient migration from Nile Valley, they may have came into the West African region, and with the migration of peoples, they might have settled and become incorporated into the ethnic nationality now known as Ijaw. That's the only reference we have. Some people are using it as an ultimate reference. From the point of view of academic research, it's not strong enough. We can only add it as an addendum, saying that yes, migrations happen. There was ancient Hebrew migrations from Nile Valley, from the ancient home into the Nile Valley, and from Nile Valley to West Africa. So bearing a genetic testing or whatever, you can never know whether some people came from that, but it's most unlikely that the whole of the Europe people migrated from Israel. So that's where we are regarding the Israel something. That particular statement, one in Kings, I have to check for my documents to give you the exact portions in the Bible which makes reference to the city of Ijon. But in general, I think Ijo people are aborigine. Anywhere they are, we're aborigines. So we now go back to the what we call the ancient aquatic civilization. That is the first mode of civilization that is in Africa before anything else. Because Ijo people are aquatic. Aquatic people, they're normally the first to penetrate remote locations using their watercraft. So before anybody can come to a remote place, they will go by the rivers and the creeks and those people who have to travel by land. Because in those days there was nothing like roads or whatever, so you have to cut this. So the people who are most mobile are the marine and aquatic people. That explains why Ijaw people are normally the aborigines of a particular place. Wherever they're found, they would have been the first people to get there, and then other people came to arrive later. So that would also explain the Ijaws being the first to arrive in the Benin region. And then the intelligence reports also affirm that. For example, the intelligence report on Maine itself, not just Maine, Oyakri, that is a Beni, and a few other places, even Calabari, they will mention Benin. So according to the main intelligence report, the area now called Benin City, was the first home of the Ijaw people. So we were living there first before we moved into the Niger Delta. I think at the time they were living there, Benin as an empire was not even in existence. So the empire or kingdom came later, and the Ijaw people were there first. And also in the Ijaw folk stories, like the Ozidi saga story, they make mention of a time when everybody was at Benin, and because of some problem, the people had to escape into the waters, and they found themselves in the main Niger Delta. So that's my understanding of it, and we can't dismiss. You don't need to dismiss the Israel or ancient Israel or ancient Hebrew references, but you have to try and look at on what basis is it there. There's a city of Ijon, yes, there was a city of Ijon, but does it refer to us? We don't know. But the migrations from that place into West Africa, yes. So in all likelihood, there may be some connection. It doesn't mean that everybody is connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you've taken all my minutes, and I'm not very happy about it.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm grateful. Dr. Benny, I yield to you, so you can take it over.
Thank you so much. This has been a great discussion, a great insight, and it's highly appreciated that we can look at this book and dissect the book in a brilliant and wonderful way. So much to talk about, and I'm sure if we should continue, we probably won't leave here for the next 2 hours or so. However, I encourage our audience to please get a hold of this book. Make sure you read it. You'll have this book discussion will be on our YouTube. Please send us questions. If you want to talk more, get in touch. and we will see how we can discuss with you. And my own end, there's a book I want to recommend to us. Is a book on genetics, because I think, with this book that Professor Alagoa has written, as the president of IDC mentioned, there are some gaps, that are missing, that needs to be, put in. So having, such work as doing, is it the ocean excavation, or looking into the sea to see really the origin, because we can't seem to ascertain the main origin outside of the Niger Delta. And as our chairman had asked, are we from Israel? So it's there is still great work that can be done. There is a book called Who We Are, and Where Have We Come From. That book is not written by an Ijaw person, but I will recommend that we all read it as an Ijaw person. And in fact, if we could even, ask for this project to be embarked on, in identifying the origin, the far in origin of where the Ijaws, came from. Very important, as mentioned earlier at the beginning, that is who knows his father's name that can dance in the square and talk in the square. And I want to believe that this book, haven't gone through it, and as many that will go through it, will empower us the more to further our stand as an Ijaw person, as Ijaw nation, and take us even to further heights in life. So thank you, everyone. I'm grateful to the chairman, the president, Chief Oki, to Benabi, and Josh. We have Nemfrida. Thank you so much, and
Can I
God
interject
bless.
for a minute
Yes,
before you
sir.
wrap it up?
Yes, sir.
There are two individuals in Europe whose their fathers contributed significantly to development of the nation. Their fathers served as presidents of the John National Congress. Professor Demi's daughter, I will share her details with you later. She's in London. And then we also have Professor Sekibo's daughter in Italy. Professor Sekibo's daughter is here with us today. So would you please give her 1 second to say one or two things before
Yes,
you
please.
wrap it up, if you don't mind? Yes.
Yes, please. You can go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know what exactly I'm supposed to say. My name is Nemi Sekibo. My dad was Chief Senator Taribo James Sekibo, the late INC president. I'm currently in Europe, Italy. I'm close to Austria, Germany. Yeah, that's my location at the moment. And so I want to say thank you for the history. It helps a lot because I've heard a lot of history from my dad too. And looking forward to learning more of the history stuff and the just struggles, and because that was what my dad stood for. And he always wanted all of us to stand for it. And he used his last dying wish was trying to settle the IYC election stuff, which was Vito Dent before his demise. So we look forward to working with everyone and meeting everyone once more again. And welcome to all the new executive. Thank you very much for having me here too.
Thank you. Thank you, Nemfrida. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So, thank you, everyone, once more. There are great resources in the book, that we can all look into to also further expand our knowledge. It's important that we read more, get more understanding. And there was the book that Benebre said, which is before this book, the Ijaw origin. Please have a look at that book and get a hold of it. I mentioned that the book Ancient DNA and the New Science of the Human Past who we are and how we got here, by David Rach. Please get a hold of it. Let's expand our knowledge and horizon. I'll want to welcome once more the president to give us the closing remark as we close this book discussion. Thank you, everyone. Mr. President, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vice President. My great people, eyes up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eyes up.
Yeah.
Is that if
you
Mike, I am so very, very pleased and happy for the gathering and exchange of knowledge and understanding, peculiarly to our region, the Niger Delta. It's amazing to see and hear from us. So I will not in any way take anything for granted, because I'm so happy that we also have a record of information which can be read by all others. Is very, very important. I thank everyone for the input, and I pray that we all expand this knowledge beyond this particular position. And the importance of the presence of our Amadabo is not in any way taken lightly. And then our Chief Oki, that has also expanded things, and all the great people that have been here. I'm very, very grateful. I thank you. I also seek that when we call you again, that please come and also invite other people to come so that we can form a more inclusive information and hear more. Because when we have more people, we will hear more from more people. Because sometimes we may not have the finals of all the information. So those people who may come again may also add to us. So I'm very, very grateful. And I thank our Vice President who has organized this, Dr. Benny, and all that has guided her, supported her in making this to be a fruitful day. So thank you, and God bless you, and we hope to see later. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.